A various day, Dr. Federico Ticong, and to our dear classmates, we are the environmentalists from Group 7. By the way, my name is Jenalyn Batingal, and I am the environmentalist number 1. Also, I am the first reporter of this group, along with Mr. Dan Digamo, Miss Kyle Busilak, and Miss Rika Rapper, who will later explain and discuss to you the other parts of this topic. So without further ado, let's get started. But before that, let us have first our motivational game. We have the 4 picks, 1 word for us to revitalize our mind and our body to have a sound energy all along the class discussion. So, I assume that all of us are already familiar with this game, 4 picks, 1 word, right? Since elementary, we have already conducted this game. So, for the mechanics, we have here 4 sets of pictures, and each set of pictures has 4 pictures on it, and all you have to do is to guess the words that are manifested in each set of pictures. So are you ready? Okay, let's get started. For the first set of pictures, what do you think is the answer? Very good. It is global warming. So as you can see here, the first picture depicts the abnormal heating of the planet Earth. In the second picture, we have the effect of global warming, which is the cracked soil. And we have in the third pictures, one of the major contributor of global warming is the gas emissions from big factories. And for the fourth picture, so it shows a woman who cannot endure the abnormal heating temperature anymore. So this is global warming. And global warming is one of the environmental problems that we are experiencing in the world today. Next. What is the answer? Alright, it is deforestation. So as you can see, there are many trees in the forest that are cut down. So some of it are illegal, but most of it are legal, since many parts of our forest are converted into commercial buildings for us to have a high increase of economic income. So that's why many forests are then converted into business sectors or commercial sectors. And because of deforestation, there is a habitat loss. So the animals' habitats are being degraded. And deforestation is one of the environmental problems that we are experiencing in the world today. For the third set of picture, so what do you think is the answer? Anyone? Very good. It is recycle. So recycle is one of the solutions for us to prevent or to mitigate the spread of waste and garbages in our environment. We have to recycle all those plastic bottles and all those garbages that we think we cannot use anymore or doesn't have value anymore. So we can convert that plastics and waste into somewhat material or a new product that is sustainable and that is useful for all the people in the environment. And lastly, what do you think does this set of picture manifested? Very good. It is sustainable agriculture. So from its symbol in the first picture, we have a hand carrying a newborn plant and the word sustainable. And in the third picture, we have a tractor that depicts a sustainable and modern agriculture where the use of tractors are relevant in order to have an easier and convenient way of harvesting crops. And for the fourth picture, we have the farmers. So this set of picture depicts sustainable agriculture. So with these pictures and words that I've shown to you from our motivational game, 4 picks 1 word, what do you think is our topic for today? Very good. It is the environment and development discourses. We have here our learning objectives. First, identify what is environmental discourse and development discourse. Second, understand the causes and effects of major environmental problems. Third, demonstrate the real-world solutions for environmental challenges through a short role play. And lastly, appreciate the significance of knowing the relationship between environmental discourse and sustainable development. So, I can only achieve all these learning objectives if I have your full participation during our class discussion. So class, can I expect that from you? Alright, so let us move on to our topic for today. Are you all ready to learn? Yes, that's the spirit. But before we tackle about the environmental discourse and development discourse, let us discuss first about discourse. So what is discourse? As defined here, discourse refers to a shared way for people to understand the world around them. This is done through how we interpret the world around us and little by little and paste them all together to make a big story. So a discourse, it can be a spoken, a debate, an argument, or a written communication between people, especially serious discussion of a particular subject. So, what particular subject that we are discussing today? About the ways and how to have sustainability and development in our environment. So, it is a serious talk or piece of writing which is intended to teach or explain something. Like for example, we have conducted this course in order to analyze the environment that we have and also to identify all those issues that we are experiencing for us to draw conclusions and solutions to better solve that environmental problem. So the concept of discourse is the foundation of learning, not just with the environmentalist students but to all people. Because through discourse, people are able to engage outside of the box and their critical thinking skills and problem-solving ideas in society are used. Where accepting the ideas of someone who challenges your way of thinking, though, is an ability that must be guided. So, that's how important a discourse or a discussion is. We have environmental discourse. So what is environmental discourse? So environmental discourse occurs as there is a social aspect with regard to environmental issues. According to Dryzek in 1997, so it is the way we construct, interpret, discuss, and analyze environmental problems. So environmental discourses, these are frameworks of meanings about the biogeophysical world and its natural and social qualities. We have the physical attributes of our environment. And also, the core of the environmental discourse or environmental discussion is an environmental issue. So it can be the issue of air pollution, nuclear waste or other waste and garbages, global warming, depletion of natural resources, climate change that are depicted in our sample pictures here. And however, how exactly this issue is interpreted depends on the environmental ideology of the interpreter. So environmental discourse is crucial and is significant to study because it allows us to understand the action in response to environmental issues. And these courses determine what is and what is not possible to do, as well as who should or should not do it. So that is the essence of environmental discourse. Up next, we have development discourse. So what is development discourse? So development discourse refers to the process of articulating knowledge and power through which particular concepts, theories, and practices for social change are created and reproduced, according to Escobar in 1995 and Crush in 1996. So development discourse is the application of different concepts and theories. So we all know that we have different theories and practices in the society on how to better understand our environment and how to find ways or solutions to mitigate those environmental problems, and also the articulation of knowledge. So development discourse is a fairly specific facet of communication dealing with the progress of countries and societies as it is described and related through conversation. And in other words, the essence of development discourse is that it addresses the way that people talk about development on some level, usually in a political or sociological manner. That is development discourse. So any further questions or clarifications? So if not, let's proceed to the next topic. We have the development theories. So actually, there are many development theories, but I've only selected 3 major development theories for today's discussion. First, we have the economic growth and modernization theories that concerned with how to enhance growth and accumulation, efficient production and allocation, political stability and order, and entrepreneurial culture and personality. So modernization theory suggests that traditional societies will develop as they adopt more modern practices. So the proponents of modernization theory claim that the modern states are wealthier and more powerful, and that their citizens are freer to enjoy a higher standard of living through the application of the economic growth and modernization theories. Like for example, during the Cold War era, so we all know that economic crisis are rampant in all parts of the world. So during the Cold War era, so there were 2 primary versions of modernization theory that are practiced and that were applied. We have the Marxist version and the capitalist version. So through these 2 primary versions of modernization theory, the solutions are then collected in order to solve economic crisis and for also to continue the economic progress of certain countries. So by that, other countries during the World War era are able to regain back its progress or its prosperity. They are able to survive during economic crisis. They are able to solve that problem. Next, we have the radical development theories. So tends to deal with various modes of production, production relations, and class structures. So a radical sociology calls for a radical perspective, so namely a structural perspective. So such a perspective requires uncovering economic and political realities in the attempt to understand the social culture. So the view that environmental problems can only be solved by a radical revision of attitudes and values rather than through economic and political reform. So it is much more important, our attitudes and the way how we value our environment, than all that platforms, the advocacies, and the programs that are implemented in the society by politicians and ways that we are encouraged to do in order to have an economic progress. So, much more important na ang atong attitudes and values towards our environment. So, we have three primary branches of the radicalized environmental movement. We have deep ecology, social ecology, and ecofeminism. So, let's talk first about deep ecology. So, deep ecology is an environmental philosophy and social movement based in the belief that humans must radically change their relationship to nature from one that values nature solely for its usefulness to human beings to one that recognizes that nature has an inherent value. So, there, the people practice tree planting, waste segregation, recycle, mangrove nurturing, and others in order to preserve our environment and its beauty. Next, we have social ecology. So it is the study of how individuals interact with and respond to the environment around them and how these interactions affect society and the environment as a whole. So there, the people become united so that there will be an effective solutions for the regaining back of the beauty of our environment or its beautification. Then lastly, we have ecofeminism. So it is a movement that sees a connection between the exploitation and degradation of the natural world and the subordination and oppression of women. So headed by the women and the prevention of exploitation or pagsasamantala sa ating mga natural resources. So, ecofeminism, it emerged in the mid-1970s alongside the second wave feminism and the green movement. So, the core purpose or the significance of ecofeminism or the main principles of ecofeminism is to avoid every kind of discrimination and domination. So it emphasizes the importance of the interrelationship between humans and non-humans and of course the earth. And lastly, we have the world system theory. So it is the unequal exchange between center and periphery in sharing resources and decline of biodiversity. So, world system theory, it is a view of the world in which countries are placed into different economic classes to explain their economic relationships with one another and also to see whether their economic practices have connections or they have similarities the way other countries practice in order to have high economic income or profit. And whether it is not or kanang dissimilar sila sa ilang mga economic practices. So these classes include core, semi-periphery, and periphery. So sa world system theory, there are three basic tenets of world systems. We have core, semi-periphery, and periphery. And these three basic tenets of world systems theory are then practiced by some countries. So first, let us discuss core. So core, the other countries are able to exploit all other countries without being exploited themselves. So, ang ibang mga bansa ay may pagsasamantala sa mga natural resources o kahinaan ng ibang bansa without being exploited themselves. So, they become richer and richer without being exploited themselves and through taking advantage to the weakness and the natural resources of other countries. Then, the second one is that some countries belong to the semi-periphery. So, in semi-periphery, both countries exploit and experience exploitation. So, they have ganang mutual exchange of exploitation o pagsasamantala sa kanilang mga natural resources and they also suffer the consequences of exploitation. So, they experience exploitation as well. And in periphery, some countries experiences exploitation but does not exploit any other nation themselves. So kahit na hindi sila nag-practice ng pag-exploit o pagsamantala sa ibang bansa, silang pa rin ay experience or sila ay dumaranas ng exploitation kahit na hindi nila in-exploit yung ibang mga natural resources at mga kahinaan ng ibang bansa. So again, we have the differences of core, semi-periphery, and periphery. So first, sa core, the countries are able to exploit all other countries without being exploited themselves. Then in semi-periphery, some countries both exploit and experience exploitation. And the third, periphery, some countries experiences exploitation but does not exploit any other nation nor themselves. So again, that would be all. Thank you. And for the next reporter, we have Mr. Dan Digamo to tackle about the major forms of environmental challenges to development.